Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV Summit outlined his vision for the India century, driven by aspirational India.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की जीत की सेंचुरी बने.
The summit brought together prominent global leaders, highlighting India's pivotal role on the world stage.
Not just Indians trusting India's leadership, but the global South especially trusting India's leadership.
Canada is concerned, I think there are some very specific issues. I think a lot of people know that.
Permanent seat on the UN Security Council is something that should be India's right.
AI is going to be one of the most important, drivers.
It's a very exciting time for India, Indian cinema as well at a global level.
NDTV World Summit was more than just a conversation. It was a confluence of ideas poised to shape our global future.
जावेद साहब और आपकी जोड़ी जो आइकॉनिक जोड़ी मानी जाती है उसका ख्याल किसको आया था?
उसका ख्याल ये आया कि हम साथ में काम कर रहे थे.
हाँ. और
यहाँ सिप्पी फिल्म के अंदर एक स्टोरी डिपार्टमेंट बनाया था उन्होंने अपना रमेश सिप्पी ने. तो उसमें एक कमरा था कि एक फ्लैट.
This is NDTV and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Good morning, North America. Good afternoon, Europe. And good evening to everyone joining us from India. This is US Election Watch. I'm Allister D'Souza in Washington, D.C. The headlines. Harris and Trump remain deadlocked in the final New York Times poll. US voters are divided with 11 days to go. Harris brings star power in final rallies ahead of Election Day. Beyonce to join Harris at her Houston rally. Trump compares the United States to a garbage can as he slams the Biden administration on immigration policies. And nearly 33 million votes have been cast in early voting. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are locked in a dead heat for the popular vote, 48% to 48%. That's the final national poll by the New York Times and Siena College. Harris continues to struggle for an edge over Trump with an electorate that seems to be split down the middle. Meanwhile, the two candidates are holding rallies in Texas, with Harris set to discuss reproductive rights at a Houston, Texas rally featuring Beyonce. Meanwhile, Trump will deliver remarks about immigration in Austin, Texas, and will then hold a rally in Michigan. Now, in other news, Donald Trump, while campaigning in the border swing state of Arizona on Thursday, slammed immigration policies under the Biden administration. The Republican presidential nominee once again used some rather dark language against immigrants. He said the U.S. is like a garbage can for the world, referring to the number of illegal immigrants who have come in and continue to arrive into the United States.
When Kamala came in, she deliberately dismantled our border and threw open the gates. She threw them open. The gates to an invasion of criminal migrants from prisons and jails, from insane asylums and mental institutions, from all over the world, from Venezuela to the Congo in Africa. A lot of people coming out of the Congo, not just South America. They're coming from 181 countries as of yesterday. Right, and we're a dumping ground. We're like a garbage can for the world. That's what's happened. That's what's happened to her. We're like a garbage can.
Now, with the election so close to call, every vote matters. One group that is expected to greatly influence the US elections is the Indian American community, one of the most politically active communities in the country. According to some estimates, over 2 million Indian Americans are eligible to vote this election in 2024. Now, while immigration, illegal immigration, like we heard from Trump, and the border with Mexico are key issues in the upcoming presidential election, there are a lot of Indians who are concerned instead about legal immigration. That means a backlog in things like green cards and work visa restrictions. Joining us live is NDTV's New York Bureau Chief, Natasha Israni. Natasha, you've spoken to two New Jersey mayors. What are they saying about Trump versus Harris when it comes to immigration?
Good morning, Allister. Good to be with you again. Yes, I did speak to two different mayors of New Jersey. One is a Sikh mayor representing Hoboken, and the other, the first Indian woman mayor of the Montgomery Township. So for both of them, even as you look at them, you realize diversity is important to them and representation is important to both these leaders. And they both felt that Vice President Kamala Harris is likely to be more empathetic. That's the word that they used when it comes to legal immigration. And they also disliked the schism that we see between legal and illegal immigration in this country, saying that with all the focus on the problem of illegal immigration in the country, focus is taken away from what matters to them, which is legal immigration, where you have Indian H-1B holders sometimes waiting for up to 100 years to get their green cards. So a lot of concerns around legal immigration, and the feeling there from both of these mayors was that Harris was likely to be better.
Okay, Natasha, you've also been talking with many others from the Indian American community. What are the non-politicians telling you?
Yes, I've been hanging out with lawyers, doctors, and physicians at different community events. And it's very interesting to see the array of opinions that come across. For people in the IT sector, H-1B visas are important, but at the same time, being more pro-business, pro-large companies, some of them feel that Donald Trump is going to be better for their interests. When it comes to lawyers who want more representation, as well as see better policies around legal immigration, I got the feeling that many of them were leaning more towards Kamala Harris. Though any of these groups are not uniform, they are bipartisan groups, so it's really a mix. But the one thing, all different groups, whether they're lawyers, doctors, journalists of Indian American origin, they all agree that their vote is going to matter more than ever this time in the swing states where there's been an upsurge in the Indian American population.
Indeed.
So when it's such a close to count race, every vote is going to matter, and what they are unified on is that they've got to go out and vote. It will matter whether they're voting Democrat or Republican.
Right, Natasha, just let's listen into some of those sound bites that you got for us.
Especially in the swing states, and studies have shown that because of the rising population of Indian Americans in some of these swing states, even though they are a small percentage overall, it could make a difference. Do you see that?
Yes, I definitely see that. And I think this is an opportunity for our community to be part of the decision making. I get a lot of people who say to me, even when I won, how many people came out for you, Nina? And they look at it. Nobody knows who you voted for, but at the same time, there are people who will understand how many of you came out. So I think this is a good time for our community to show our power. I feel we are brilliant. We just need to be engaged a little more, and then we will see policy which affects us or our kids or our next generation. Once we are part of that decision making, we can have that opportunity. So I encourage everybody to vote.
Talking about policy, a lot is said about illegal immigration in this country, but legal immigration is something that a lot of people here help with, and also that a lot of Indians struggle with, including the H-1B visa. So who do you think overall is going to be better for legal immigration between Trump and Harris?
Yeah, between the two candidates, I still believe that Kamala Harris has policy that I understand. I don't want people to talk in abstract. I don't like the idea of people saying immigrants, and even if they say it's illegal immigrants, nobody's going to see when it's a brown person like me. Am I legal? Is someone going to ask me my papers, or going to look at my children who all look like me even though they're US citizens? I think this kind of talk that says, oh, illegal, legal, it makes it harder for us immigrants, because nobody's going to be checking on you. I look brown. If I'm walking on the street, someone can think I'm legal or illegal. So to me, the policy that I'm hearing from the Vice President makes sense. There should be no issue of trying to scare the populace to say, oh, you need to vote for this or that. I think we all need to be very mindful of what we are putting out there.
We see Indians being very successful in different fields, but we are yet to see them be in even more leadership positions. And not just be in their community, but otherwise. You're an exception, of course. But in large, we also now finally have our first Asian woman of color and black woman of color who's nominated, from the Democratic Party. But what do you forecast, or where do you see this community going when it comes to leadership?
I see a very exponential increase in the number of South Asians who are in public-facing positions, whether it's elected office or as prosecuting attorneys or as members of police departments. We're slowly integrating into the public sector and public-facing roles, and also leadership roles. So, with that, you'll see us getting more of a seat at the table, so to speak, on issues that we care about, and that's what really matters. Representation matters at all levels, and we've come a long way. There's a long way to go, but I think the future is bright.
What about you? Yeah. When it comes to representation, I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think, especially for for women, South Asian women, women of color, to be in leadership roles. Historically, we've seen that, it's taken us time. Things are getting better, but I do think we have a long way to go. And I think it's so critical that we start that from a very young age. We teach girls and our boys, boys in the home, to kind of let them know that it's important to create that space, but also to be supportive allies. Like the work we do at Manvi, it's engaging men as allies in the community to make sure that men are equally part of the movement to support women, to support feminism, to end gender-based violence, and to create a space where we can see more women of color and more South Asian women embracing leadership roles.
We're going to stay with this story. Let's take a closer look now at the concerns of Indian Americans. We're joined by Anita Ninan. She is a U.S. immigration attorney. She is also a board member at the Georgia Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. Thanks very much, Anita, for joining us here on NDTV World. Anita, as a U.S. immigration lawyer, you are living these concerns every single day. There are those H-1B visas, work visas that allow U.S. companies to employ foreign workers. There are also the L-1 visas designed so multinational companies can transfer staff, say, from India to work here in the U.S. temporarily. What are the kinds of issues that are really crossing your desk?
Yeah, so thanks, Allister. I'd just like to go back to making a contrast between the Trump years and the current Biden administration. So during the Trump years, we had an executive order that was passed, which was the Buy American, Hire American. And that translated into a really higher scrutiny of the H-1B program overall. So we had greater number of requests for evidence on original petition filings. We also had a higher denial rate. Regarding the L1 intra-company transfer, that across the board, we find the approval rates are much lower than across other work permit classifications. So during the Trump years, there was a guidance for the USCIS adjudicators that extension petitions on work permit applications, the evidentiary burden should be the same as for original filings. That fortunately was rescinded during the Biden years, and it made it a little bit easier right now.
So what are the things that can change further? Because it's clearly still not a perfect system.
It clearly isn't. And I would just say, going forward, if you had to draw a contrast between what Trump offers if he were to come into the White House versus what Kamala Harris offers if she were to become president, I think it would be even worse. The H-1B program, the threshold levels to qualify for Indian nationals will be harder because again, I refer back to an interim final rule that he passed at the end of his administration. And during that period, this raised, clarified some of the points on the H-1B program. If he does come back into office, those are going to be enforced. Unlike that, for legal immigration, I think the Harris program, her administration will be, I think, more receptive to finding, common sense solutions. In fact, the Senate border bill has some really good provisions for legal migration. It's going to be increasing the number of green cards, available for the employment-based category by 13% and for family-based visas by 7%. Yeah.
Okay, Anita, when we talk about illegal immigration in the US, we really don't think of Indians. We think of Mexicans and people from Central America illegally crossing the southern border into the United States. But now we're seeing many Indians as well, some even illegally crossing via Canada to the north. Those numbers are said to be in the tens of thousands. Now, Trump has talked about mass deportations. How realistic really an idea is that?
Yeah, so that remains to be seen. We see in his first administration, though, this rhetoric about illegal migration into the U.S. Has been very loud. Not much was done in his first administration. However, it has been a hot button issue during this campaign season. He has talked about mass deportations. And in terms of it actually being logistically, getting 11 million undocumented immigrants out of the country, logistically processing arrests and removals and deportations, that is going to cost billions of dollars. So it's going to be a huge fiscal tab for the economy and is going to affect certain major sectors of our economy. It's going to affect the agricultural sector, the construction sector, the hospitality sector. So, it remains to be seen what he's going to be able to achieve. And in contrast, if we had a Harris administration, I think she is going to...
We'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you very much indeed for joining us here, running out of time. Anita joining us from Atlanta, Georgia. Now, in other news, in a radio interview, former President Donald Trump has said that he would not dismiss the possibility of pardoning Hunter Biden, that's President Joe Biden's son. Now, he said that he would do this despite what was done to him, reportedly referring to the slew of lawsuits Trump faces. Hunter Biden was convicted in June of lying about his drug use while applying to purchase a gun 6 years ago and for unlawfully possessing that gun afterwards. Now, the ruling marked the first criminal conviction of the child of a sitting president. In the final countdown to Election Day, Harris has launched a star-studded extravaganza in Georgia. Harris basked in the support of rock legend Bruce Springsteen, entertainer Tyler Perry, and former President Barack Obama at a rally that drew thousands in the battleground state of Georgia. Meanwhile, superstar Beyoncé is expected to join Harris at her Houston, Texas stop and perform, according to reports. Now, Harris has made Beyoncé's song, as you might know, Freedom, her campaign anthem. Meanwhile, Trump is preparing for a massive rally in New York City this weekend. It comes as a new poll has Kamala Harris increasing her vote share in New York State. New York is one of the biggest blue states in the country, but Democrats have been worried of a title race this year between Harris and Trump. However, according to a survey by Siena College, Harris leads Trump now by a robust 19 points in the state of New York. We're now joined by Democratic politician Jeremy Cooney. He is a state senator for New York, which means he serves his district at the state level. Quick fact about Cooney's Indian roots: he was adopted from an orphanage in Kolkata and raised by a single mother in the city of Rochester, where he lives. Thank you very much, Jeremy, for joining us here. Now, Senator Cooney, New York is not a swing state, as we mentioned. Harris is all but certain to win it. But on Sunday, Donald Trump, as we mentioned, is set to hold this massive rally in Madison Square Garden Arena. One Trump campaign advisor actually saying it's going to be the biggest rally that people have seen, some 20,000 people or so. Why do you think he's chosen this place in New York City, given that, the odds are really against him?
Well, we've heard from this former president about the size of his other rallies. They don't always pan out to be the size that he thinks that they will be. But look, the former president, Donald Trump, is from New York City. He grew up and had his business empire start in New York City. So I think in some ways he feels like he's coming home. But at the end of the day, as you alluded to earlier, New York is very much an inclusive and welcoming state. We are a state that is fully behind the values that Vice President Harris is bringing to this presidential race. And while, again, we believe in free speech in this country, we want the ability for candidates of any political party to be able to share their ideas. We have found that these rallies are often really just negative events where we're talking about the other candidate, and it's not productive. It's not who we are as American citizens in terms of our democratic system of government. So we'll see how many people he brings out to Madison Square Garden, but that's his right to do so.
Okay, I understand that you are the first and only South Asian state-elected official outside of New York City. Like many other Americans, Indian Americans have been worried about the cost of living. While those headline numbers that we keep reading showing that inflation is slowing, it's dipping, it's really not reflected in the sticker price really at grocery stores. Now, according to the latest CNBC poll, Trump is actually leading Harris hugely as far as the economy goes. Now, how much of a worry really is this for Democrats and also for you on the down ballot vote?
Affordability is one of the top issues in this presidential race, but as you mentioned, certainly at the local and state level as well. So as I'm running for re-election to the New York State Senate, we're talking about everything from the price of gasoline, the price of groceries, and really just the cost of living in New York State. So for me, it's really always been about how do we make sure
at that down ballot vote for our international viewers on November 5th, New York state voters will decide whom they want in the local state government. Your Republican opponent has pointed to immigration, which is an issue in the national election. He says it's directly affecting people in your community. He says that illegal immigrants get better care than even the elderly and veterans who are United States citizens. What do you have to say to that?
That's preposterous. We are a nation that welcomes all. We have an immigration system that clearly needs to have reform and work. We need to secure our southern border. We need to make sure that there are pathways to legal citizenship in this country. But when it comes to how we take care of people, especially folks who are coming to this country seeking asylum, who've come from very challenging and difficult countries, who are looking for the opportunity for the American dream, the same dream that I had coming to this country, we need to make sure that there's opportunities for them to take care of their families. Many of these folks are women and children. We need to give them that safe refuge as they go through the legal citizenship process. And at the same time, we have to make sure that the backlog of folks coming from places at home in India or around the world, that those individuals have an opportunity to come and be educated and work in this country. So immigration reform has been a big topic, certainly at this national level, but we have to make sure that we're delivering on that after November 5th.
All right, Senator Cooney, for our final question, probably the toughest for you in this election cycle. Last November, you hosted the first ever Diwali celebration held by an elected official in the city of Rochester. What's the plan this year?
Well, we're going to have that celebration tonight. And as a special announcement for your viewers and for our folks tonight, we are going to announce that we are entering new legislation in the state Senate here in New York to make Diwali a public school holiday statewide. So we've already done that in New York City. But I believe we have seen the Indian diaspora grow across the entire state of New York, and we want to make sure families, whether in New York City or in upstate New York, have the ability to celebrate and share this cultural tradition with the rest of the state of New York.
Senator, thank you very much. Good luck with that move and good luck with your campaign seeking re-election. Some of those pictures that we were playing, of course, from the Diwali party from last year. In other news now, the Harris campaign is flush with cash for the final sprint of the presidential campaign, while Donald Trump continues to lag behind despite a push from Tesla chief Elon Musk. Harris's campaign reported $97 million as far as his tally goes in October. For Trump's campaign, that figure was just $16 million. Now, in terms of total figures, Harris has crossed the $1 billion mark. Meanwhile, the Trump campaign has raised around $372 million in terms of spending. Harris continues to outspend Trump, spending roughly $800 million on her rallies and ad campaigns. Days after former President Trump's longest-serving chief of staff, John Kelly, slammed Trump, Senator J.D. Vance shot back against Kelly's claims that Donald Trump meets the definition of a fascist. Now, Vance said that everything the former Trump official said is not true. The vice presidential nominee, when asked about Kelly's comments during a rally in Michigan, described Kelly as a disgruntled ex-employee making up rumors. That's it for US Election Watch. I'm Allister D'Souza in Washington, D.C.
When I woke up, they said, "Alyssa, you've got leukemia." We found out that the chemo wasn't working.
Cancer is still the biggest killer of children in the UK, but innovative new treatments could help beat cancer for more children like Alyssa.
I'm cancer-free now.
Text, call or search to give £3 a month and help build a new children's cancer centre at Great Ormond Street Hospital. So together, we can save more lives.
Make this Diwali royal with Royal Sweets. Enjoy authentic traditional sweets with your family. Order online at royalsweets.co.uk.
We all know animals have feelings. They depend on kindness, just like you and me. So imagine how they feel when they're beaten, starved, and unloved. Every minute, the RSPCA is called on to save animals in physical agony and mental torment. It's unbearable to see the pain in their eyes. We refuse to give up on them, but to rescue them from a life of fear, we urgently need animal lovers like you to donate today. Please call 0800 121 4260 or text KIND to 84903 to give £2 a month to the RSPCA. Your gift will help fund more life-saving rescues, more emergency treatment, and more gentle rehabilitation. Every month, you'll be helping to keep animals free from pain and sadness, so they can find the comfort and joy they deserve. Right now, across the country, thousands are suffering deliberate harm. But together, we can show animals what kindness feels like. Together, we can rescue them. So please, call 0800 121 4260, text KIND to 84903, or visit our website to start your monthly donation today. Thank you.
Deep in the lush forests of the highest mountain range lives a truly unique species whose two favourite things in the whole world are munching on bamboo and playing bingo online at pandabingo.com, because pandabingo.com is bursting with brilliant bingo games, including 75-ball bingo and 90-ball bingo. It's absolute pandemonium. So, how do you get involved, I hear you ask? The answer is pretty black and white. Visit pandabingo.com.
Original items made by real people.
This is the MSF hospital you can help build. This is the equipment you can help buy in the hospital you can help build. This is the doctor you can help train using the equipment you can help buy in the hospital you can help build. This is the medicine you can help supply, given by the doctor you can help train using the equipment you can help buy in the hospital you can help build. These are the patients you help survive, treated with the medicine you help supply, given by the doctor you help train, using the equipment you help buy in the hospital you can help build. These are the lives you help rebuild, the patients you help survive, treated with the medicine you help supply, given by the doctor you help train, using the equipment you help buy in the hospital you can help build. This is help that lasts. With regular donations, you help us provide long-term medical care. Please donate £10 a month by searching MSF Now. That's MSF Now.